Hi, my name is Meyling Ly-Ortiz, I go by May, and I'm Managing Counsel of Employment at Toyota Motor North America.
And I'm Stacey Hernandez, a partner at the law firm of Carter Arnett and current president of the Dallas Asian American Bar Association. And we are so pleased and honored to be here as former DBA We Lead alumna to be speaking to a living legend, Judge Gren Scholer of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas.
Judge Scholer really needs no introduction, but just in case you're not familiar with her, not only is she a federal judge of the Northern District of Texas, but she has also served Texas as a state judge for 8 years. Prior to that, she was a partner at 4 different law firms, ranging from global law firm to boutique, Carter Scholer at the time, now Carter Arnett. She's a proud mom to 3 sons with 1 grandson and a granddaughter on the way.
She is an icon in the legal community, a known champion for women lawyers, and a role model especially for Asian American women lawyers like May and myself. And recent fun fact, she is one of 15 female Asian American judges featured in a chapter in the book, The First 15, How Asian American Women Became Federal Judges by Judge Susan Oki-Malaway.
Speaking of which, Judge, an interesting fact that many may not know about you is that you are an American citizen, but born in Tokyo. Can you share a little bit about how that's possible?
Well, before I answer your question, I want to thank you all for being here. You know I was an extremely reluctant interviewee because I feel so undeserving of this recognition, but I want to thank you all and the Dallas Bar Association for letting us have this chat. So with respect to mom and dad, Dad was a United States citizen. He fought in World War II, 82nd Airborne, and after the war was over, he was in sales, international sales, and he went to Japan doing his work. And my mom was a college graduate who majored in English. Rare for a woman to go through college in the 1940s in Japan. My uncle recently told me that my mom, since he knew her, was fascinated with Americans. Okay, so she worked in a doctor's office that catered to American businessmen and actually American celebrities too. So Dad met Mom in this doctor's office and he was smitten. He was an American, so maybe she was a little bit smitten. And to have the excuse to see her more, other than ailing medical conditions, he bought her a collie named Chummy as an excuse to see her. And the rest is history. Here we are. That's how they met. So my dad is an he passed away quite some time ago. He is an American citizen. I married my mom, and I was born an American citizen. That's what's on my passports from birth.
Well, first, I love hearing that you came from a trailblazer, your mom.
Oh, incredibly courageous to be able to do that and come to America, yes.
Yes. So when and how did you come to America?
Well, I was 4 years old. My brother was 2. We literally got on a boat, a big ship, and traveled to America. So wow. Actually, I have my old passports. You know, when you become a federal judge, the FBI checks everything on you and makes you pull all these passports out that you had. And Mom was and is a pack rat, and so I had mine from birth. So in preparation for this interview, you know, I knew some fun facts might come out. We got on a ship on September 20 in 1962 in Yokohama, Japan. Traveled to Hong Kong, made a stop there. This was me, my brother, and my mom to come to America to meet my dad who was waiting for us. Wow. We stopped in Hong Kong, then went to Honolulu, and then ultimately ended up in San Francisco 22 days later. And that's how I got here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something that dawns on me is that it was during a time when America was not so welcoming to those who are of Japanese descent. In fact, as we know in American history, that is the only time that American citizens have been in internment camps.
Right.
What was that like coming here?
Well, it was after the war, but I don't think it's an understatement to say that the animosity toward Japanese and even Japanese Americans were pretty strong. I mean, you can go fast forward, and that happens in history even to today with countries that we're at war with. And you know, I was a kid. I was 4 years old, but I could sense that there were some people were welcoming and open-minded and weren't hostile to my mother and our family, but there were many times I felt and sensed dislike. When we call it discrimination sometimes, but I have many memories of childhood. I really haven't talked about this much, but I have many memories of childhood where I was called names that was directly related to being Japanese or how I look. Now I recognize I look more more like my dad than my mom. But then some people think, oh, I see your mom in you. But you know, there were some names that I was called that are still too painful and too embarrassing to say, and so I don't say it. So it was to the point where I spoke fluent Japanese and English, because my parents had me in English-speaking schools in Japan. And when I was here, my mother told me that anytime she spoke Japanese to me in the home, I would put my hands over my ears and say, no, 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 don't talk Japanese to me, because I wanted to fit in with everybody else. Now, of course, that is my biggest regret in life, is losing Japanese. I mean, I just don't know how to speak it fluently anymore. I'm told, though, that if I get hypnotized, I will be able to speak it, but I've never tried that out because I'm so worried what else might come out.
Oh, wow.
If I go, you know, under that. So,
Right.
we'll, you know, that little experiment is to be determined. But yeah, that's my big regret, is losing my ability to speak fluent Japanese.
Yeah, but so, I mean, so understandable, though.
Yeah.
Well, we began with your Japanese heritage, Judge. We were surprised to learn you're really the American dream on both sides of the family. Can you tell us a little bit about your father's side?
I'd love to talk about Dad. He was a son of 2 Polish immigrants, and they came to escape war-torn Poland over 100 years ago. His dad died when he was very young. Once he came to they were in the United States. In fact, my middle name, Gren, G-R-E-N, is a shortened Polish name. It was 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐚 when they came over through Ellis Island. So my grandparents on my dad's side settled in Cleveland, and very, very, very poor. His dad died when he was young, and my grandmother ran a grocery store in the bowels of Cleveland in the Polish sector and lived over this little grocery store. And I'm talking about a grocery store, well, the counters were about the size of this couch and that chair. I mean, a little tiny grocery store. So, yes, and my dad's side too, he was the only one to start college on his side of the family. He just got down and got to work, and he got to college through athletic scholarships. My family are a bunch of athletes because of my dad, and you know, I think I'm the only one on my dad's side of the family, after doing some research, to actually complete college, the first one to complete college. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You mentioned athleticism, and so I love this fact about you, and a lot of people may not know this about you, but you were a cheerleader at Rice University in college. Is there anything you learned from that experience that has helped you in your legal career?
Stacey, that is a fact that I do not put on my resume, okay? Or my court bio or anything, but people seem to be fascinated that I was ever a cheerleader. Yeah. So I was a cheerleader at Rice, and it was an elected position back then. And so you basically went out and got people to vote for you, and I, believe it or not, back then I could do flips and back handsprings, and I thought I was really pretty good. Although doing anything that goes backwards right now make stars go over my head. But anyway, and I was head cheerleader. And during the time, it was a Southwest Conference, we would travel all over. We'd go to LSU and Arkansas and, you know, all these places I got to travel. It seemed like an international trip to me because my parents didn't take me traveling. On planes, okay? We did a lot of road trips. And, but I didn't really like it. I mean, honestly, I didn't like cheering because if anybody knows Rice University, they're more interested in the halftime show, which is the marching owl band, rather than the players on the field, you know, because it's a uber intellectual university, at least at the time. So it was really tough to get people cheering for the team and being away from school on the trip, so I didn't really enjoy it. So I decided I'm not going to run for it. And then at the last minute, I changed my mind and I thought, okay, surely I'm going to get this because I'm head cheerleader. I could do flips. I'm really good. You know, all sorts of arrogant type attitudes. And I lost by a few votes. And it was gut-wrenching disappointment to me. Not making cheerleader, and I didn't campaign or I didn't ask for a vote. I got over it pretty quick. It was more embarrassing than, oh my gosh, I wanted to have this position. But the life lesson that it gave me, that I carry to this day, is do not throw your hat in the ring or for something you may not want. And if you do throw your hat in the ring, give it everything you got, because you know, that's what the position or the honor or the recognition or the responsibility deserves, is give it everything you got, you know, and that carried me well in deciding whether or not to run for judge or, you know, other positions. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great transition, just as you were talking about how it was an elected position and this experience. I want to fast forward a little bit because so many of our audience members are interested in your career in the judiciary. So just to make sure we can catch everyone up, you attend law school at Cornell. You started your career at Strasburger and Price, now Clark Hill Strasburger, where you made partner. And I love this. I mean, this just goes through trailblazing for your mom, to your dad, to you. Of your class, you were only one of 4 associates who made partner and the only woman. Then you moved to Andrews.
Well, let me correct that. There were 17 associates that started, and 4 of us ended up making partner 6 years later, and I was the only woman. So it was crazy.
Yes, I mean, the odds. Then you moved to Andrews and Kurth, now Hutton, Williams and Kurth, as a partner. I just need to highlight this. While you were 7 months pregnant. I don't know if people can tell right now, but I'm only 6 months pregnant with my 3rd, and all I want to do is take a nap. Okay, let's be honest. And I know Stacey's a mom of 2 girls, and she's a partner at a firm as well. Quite frankly, many women in this stage would take their foot off the gas a little bit. You know, let's coast a little bit. But you didn't. You did not let up. For all the moms who are watching, can you share a little bit of what propelled you?
Well, first, there's a couple things I want to say. First of all, I never looked as cute as you 6 months pregnant. I mean, never, ever, ever. And in fact, I'll go and say it. I had 3 sons, and with each pregnancy, I gained over 50 pounds with each one. So if you combine all of them, really it was closer to 60, but I like to say 50. It was 180 pounds. I ate an entire adult human being. Lost it all, but I did. And there are some women in the legal community that are kind of my vintage, and you know who you are, that are a member of this exclusive over 50-pound pregnancy club. And you know what? You can't join. No. you can't join. So yeah, going back to going to Andrews and Kurth, now Hutton, AK, and I am so grateful to them, and I think they are such a class act because way back in the 1990s, when I moved over, they gave me, they recruited and hired me, and I was 7 months pregnant, and I was triple your size. And they annualized the hours of the 3 months I took maternity leave. And that's huge in firms that look at your yearly hours, and then you have 3 months missing, so the rest of the firm thinks, oh, that person's not working. So I just think that they were very forward thinking. I think that's more common now, in betting on the athlete, even though she was a about to give birth athlete, to have me join their team. In answer what propelled me, I mean, it's just not easy. You know, don't look in my closets. Don't, you know, I'm not here to tell anybody that the juggling act is easy. It is just not easy. But I delegated out as much as I could of things that I didn't care about. So, for example, cleaning up after my dogs outside, I hired poops.com. You know, they come in and take.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that's one of about 10 or 20 things that I did. But no, it's not easy, and I'm not sure I can truthfully say it is. But I know I wanted to work.
Yeah. Gosh, that's still so helpful, though, for many of us who are here in this very position. I'm not sure what the right word is, whether it's gumption, tenacity, ambition. But while you were a successful partner at Anders and Kurth, you decided to run for state court judge. And, interestingly, run against an incumbent, which, by the way, it's unheard of to win against one. And you did by 10 points. I have 2 questions about that. First, any barriers?
Well, the firm and I was overwhelmed by support where I didn't expect it, encouraging me to do so, which was already in my heart, you know. And the encouragement helps you get over, you know, the insecurity you have to do what you want to do. So that was encouraging. But if you ask about barriers, one person that was not supportive for quite a while was my mother. Because you think about the Asian culture, okay, I'm generalizing, but my view of the Asian culture is running for public office, you have to do things that are completely against what we're taught to do, okay? You go out and talk about yourself. You talk about how great you are, pat yourself on the back. You ask people for money. Oh my gosh, you know, my mother. And, you know, you self-promote, and the other thing is my mother, and I think a lot of people in the Asian culture are risk adverse. Here I am, a partner in a major law firm, a national law firm, and I'm going to run for judge. And so she was just not supportive, and as the thing went, so I just basically ignored her, as many kids of their parents do, okay? So I went on, and toward the end, it was right before the end, she said, I have been praying to God that you would give up this silly notion, or her words of that version. But it looks like my prayers are not going to be answered. So give me a yard sign. So she put a yard sign in and basically pestered all sorts of other people to do so. And then when I did get elected, she took full credit for it. I mean, really.
I love it.
I love it.
But she was a barrier for a little while, but then became supportive right at the end.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I don't want to be stereotypical, but like Asian moms.
Yeah, tiger moms.
For sure.
Tiger moms.
For sure.
My second,
Oh, we can all identify, can't we?
right.
Yeah.
My second question is, I mean, running for anything, public office is definitely an experience in of itself. One life lesson that you learned from that?
There are a lot of life lessons, but I think the biggest one is, you know, if you try, this is going to seem a little trite, but if you try just to be a good person and help others and, you know, be kind and helpful and involved in your community along the way, when you need help, and I didn't even know I needed help, they will be kind and be supportive of you. I was overwhelmed by the people I'd met in the nonprofit work I did, which was extensive. People who'd never been in politics before saying, give me a yard sign, here's a check, what can I do? Parents of my kids wanted to get involved. and that's how the 10-point difference, you know, is just people were just trying to do something for somebody maybe that had done something for them. And I think that's a life lesson. You shouldn't do favors or acts of kindness to somebody for what it could get out. You can get for it, but it was amazing what happened. Yeah, so life lesson.
Yeah, definitely life lesson.
Wow. So stepping back, Judge, just to make sure we all have the appropriate context, you were the first Asian American elected official for Dallas County when you were elected as a state district judge. So while it's a huge honor to be the first, did you feel any extra responsibility about being the first?
Well, sure, Dallas is huge, okay? The city of Dallas is roughly, let's round numbers, is roughly 1 million people, and the county of Dallas, which was, I was elected for Dallas County, district judge for Dallas County, is about 2 million. And it's an enormous Asian American community. I think there are 17 plus different Asian communities: Taiwanese, Japanese, Cambodian, Asian Indian, Chinese, Vietnamese. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And they were thrilled to have somebody in the judiciary to be one of their own. And maybe making up for my embarrassment and not wanting to be Asian when I was young. I tried to embrace that, so anytime anybody wanted, and I could work it in, raising 3 kids, to swear in their officers for the Organization of Chinese Americans, or the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, or the DFW Asian American Citizens Council. You know, I tried very hard to get involved because I think, you know, we always hear that you have to lead by example, but we don't really do it, okay? It's kind of hard. We're busy and other things get in the way. So I tried to be there as much as I could. And I tell you what, it was a lot of fun. I got invited to a lot of Chinese New Year's and, you know, 9, 10-course meals, you know, and I ate a little bit of every single course. It was fantastic. Raffles, it's just so much fun. And so it was enriching to my life to get involved in the community, the Asian American community. So one other thing I want to say about being the first is it helps break a barrier for what other people think they can do, okay? So it just thinking, I remember when I was running for judge, I was talking to an Asian American man, an adult, he said, "You're gonna run for, there's no Asian American judges? Well, is there anybody that's qualified?" And I'm going, you know, and so it kind of changes the mindset. If you have 1 or 2 or 3, it makes it, you know, we're all Asians, different backgrounds, and so, you know, people think, oh, well, have you in the science or whatever, but, you know, law, leaders in the political, so that's really changed, I think, but we got a long way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward a bit because it's quite the career we're talking about today. So after serving as a district court judge, you then returned to private practice where you were a partner at an international law firm, Jones Day, and then a name partner at my firm, Carter Scholer, now Carter Arnett. And statistics say it is hard for a woman of color to become a partner at all, and yet you've done it 4 times, Judge. So could you share one tip about how to have and create a successful legal career like yours?
Well, if you're speaking about associates, a couple things really just do. Say yes, okay? If you get asked to do something, just say, sure, no problem. Then shut your door, get on the phone, scream and yell, and figure out, you know, don't be a no person. Find a solution, okay? Also, you know, pick your battles. Know when to speak up and when to speak up in a different way or not to speak up at all. And then finally, there's no way that you can go through an associate or even a partner or even a judge career without people being critical or constructive criticism or tell you how you can improve, especially if you're going up through the ranks. Do not be defensive. Just take it and say, you know, I will work on it, that won't happen again. That's the best thing you can do. So, and work hard and high quality work, all this other stuff everybody knows. But say yes, don't be defensive, and pick your battles.
That's really fantastic advice. I hope the associates of Carter Arnett are watching. Speaking of defying the statistics, so you are the first Asian American to serve also as a federal district court judge in Texas. And you were not only nominated once, but twice by two very different administrations. The first time by President Obama and the second time by President Trump. And then the Senate unanimously confirmed you 95-0. So we researched and looked it up, and it's actually easier to be struck by lightning than to become a federal judge, and here we are. And by the way, she made the short list 4 times. So a lot of us are probably wondering, I know I'm wondering, so I gotta ask, what's your secret to success as a judge, and any tips on how some of us can get struck by that same lightning?
Well, luck. You know, hearing you say that, it's really hard to believe that it was me that went through all that. I joke that it was easier to become a United States Supreme Court Justice than become a district judge in the Northern District of Texas, because in that it was 10 years I waited when I was on all these short lists to cross the line. There were 2 Supreme Court justices that did, okay?
Yes.
And so,
Man.
but no, I was the first new Northern District of Texas judge in over 10 years. That's 100 counties in Texas, and I finally crossed the line. It is something, I get asked this question a lot, and other judges have different answers, and some of them say, oh, you know, you can be a federal judge, go after it. And my experience is it's like lightning, okay? So much has to happen. Right place at the right time, the right, there's luck involved. I'm not joking about that. But there are things, so don't plan on it. Don't give up your hope. People were chatting about me possibly being a federal judge for decades, actually. You know, I didn't listen to them, but I kind of did, because in the back of my mind. But don't plan on it, but don't do anything to screw it up. Okay? So, you know, avoid things like that you know will automatically eliminate somebody from being a United States district judge. You know, try not to be a felon, or, you know, do or hire an illegal as your house help. Try to avoid speaking or writing about divisive issues, because I think at bottom people want a judge who is fair and impartial, and if they know you feel one way or the other about an issue, even though you can be fair, there's a perception that you can't because they know how you feel about something, okay? And then, you know, do as high a quality of work as you can, and just put yourself out there when the opportunity comes. But it is lightning. I just can't believe it. I'm going to tell you a story real quick, if it's okay.
Yes, please.
My husband, well, there was an investiture, which is the big celebration after you get sworn in, and I mean, they make a big to-do of it. You're already sworn in, but this is a ceremonial swearing in. There's a lot of people coming, and I just didn't want to do it again. I mean, I just wanted to get to work.
Yeah.
And my husband Gunnar said, Karen, you have to do it. And I said, why? And he goes, you're the Susan Lucci of federal judges. Now, okay, if you laugh, then you're old enough, you're older than you look, to understand. I say that, okay, I'm looking at people filming us, they're going, what is she talking about? If you're under a certain age, you wouldn't know Susan Lucci, who was like a, I don't know, 12, 13, 14-time Emmy winner, or a nominee, but never got the Emmy. And she finally did. So he says, you got to do it because everybody's going to be so happy that they don't have to keep, you know, supporting you for this thing. So we did. So, yep.
It was a great time, by the way.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I kind of want to switch gears a little bit. We've talked about your, quite frankly, inspirational career, if I may. And I know it may feel awkward to you to be celebrated in this way, but you know, to Stacey and I, it's just an incredible career, and it's a fact. It just is. It's incredible to us. Speaking of inspiration, though, I don't think it's any secret that the DBA's Inspirational Women Luncheon was your brainchild. And so I'm just curious, like, what was your why, and is it all that you've hoped it would be?
Well, you do make me feel awkward by calling me, you know, inspiring and this and that, but I've just lived a lot longer than you have, okay? But there are a lot of women and people out there that inspire me, and I was chair of the ethics committee of the Dallas Bar Association, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to have some seminars that I would want to go to, that we get ethics credit.
Yes.
And that we will make it fun. And I like listening to inspiring women. So I got 6 of with each panel. This will be year 12 this year, if COVID doesn't stop it again. And we get together and we celebrate being women, and the title is Inspiring Women, Humor and War Stories to Get to the Top of the Game. So the Dallas Bar picks 6 women that will reveal insecurities, that they have messy closets, that they failed, that they were ashamed and embarrassed at times, are funny, I think, have a sense of humor, and are at the very top of their profession. So we've had that, and quite frankly, it's the Dallas Bar tells me it's the most popular CLE they've ever had in 175-year history. With one email to the women lawyers in Dallas, all 800 seats are gone within 24 hours, and there's a 100-person wait list.
Yeah.
It is fun.
It is
this
fun.
is
It is
super fun.
I find all the lipstick in
December
my mouth.
10, maybe, if COVID doesn't stop this year. Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a selfish question for me, but since we have your precious time, I'm just going to go for it. Stacey and I, quite frankly, chose you because Asian American women are not often seen as leaders. I don't know what it is. It's just that we aren't. And you were certainly a leader. Why do you think that is, that we aren't seen that way? And do you have any, I don't know, advice for us to overcome it?
I think there's a lot of cultural influences in that, and maybe Asian women cultural, but also men. It's reluctance to step outside the envelope, just to put yourself in a leadership capacity. I met Stacey when I was a partner moving laterally into Gren Scholer at the time. And I took the women in the firm and said, let's go to dinner. Do you remember this?
I do.
Okay, we went to Avanti, we went to dinner.
It was a good time.
And I went around the table and said something like, tell me something interesting about you, or something the others don't know. And Stacey was first, and she was like deer in the headlights. I mean, do I have to be first? Yeah. You know, I could tell she was nervous or whatever. She went around, I don't even know if you ever asked me a question then, but you were like full of too many questions right now. But anyway, and so as I got to know Stacey, I recognized the talent and the incredible person and leader she was. She's the oldest of 5 girls. Now that is leadership.
That is leadership.
Okay, in a family. And she does it with grace and elegance and just everything. And so I said, hey, Stacey, you need to run for director of the Dallas Asian American Bar. Oh, no. I said, yeah, you're going to do it. And then I guess I must have done the same thing, struck a chord of maybe, and you, to my surprise, you threw your name in. And then what I think is a responsibility of everybody that's a mentor, you go around and make sure she's got the support. And she, in a landslide, got director of Dallas Asian American. Now she is a national director, getting confidence along the way. She is a director of the National Asian American Bar Association and president of Dallas Asian American Bar. Of course, that's not a surprise to me, but that's a story, a true life story of, you know, you just kind of step outside your comfort zone. There's not one person I know, Asian American or otherwise, that doesn't feel insecurity. And you just got to face it and know that failure, I hate that word, is going to come. Look, I didn't make cheerleader my sophomore year. and you learn from things that you fail at. Everybody needs to fail sometimes, so you're not going to learn failure and success if you don't. And I think the culture, and I think the deference to other people inhibits what you just, Asian Americans, like you say, but that inhibits a lot of young people.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that encouragement to step out of the box.
Yeah, and you did. You did at Toyota Managing Council. I mean, that's amazing. No, everybody wants to be you. But, yeah,
thank you.
I don't know if they want to be 6 months pregnant.
Right. That's exactly how
it depends on.
You were reading my mind. I just want to, I know that Stacey has another question, but I just want to relate it back. For our younger lawyers out there, and this is taking it back to the advice that you gave, say yes. Judge Scholer went to Stacey and said, hey, I really think you should run to be a director. And she said yes, and look where she is now. So I just want to go back. That tip works.
She said yes, but it was kind of like, well, me? And then she did, yes.
Right, yes. I was very uncomfortable, but I'm so glad I listened to you and said yes.
You're a fantastic leader. Fantastic.
Speaking of that, I do remember when you first joined the firm as a named partner, and I was very comfortable being a worker bee associate. And I will always be so thankful to you for taking the time. Some may say nudge. I felt like it was a push, but to be bold, to find my voice, and dare to be a leader. And I am always going to be grateful to you for that. And I've seen you affect people that way in your circle. You're such a champion for women lawyers and for your friends. And I'm just amazed by how you always have time and you always make time for your friends and to help us all break that ceiling together. And so I know this is awkward for you, but I think it's so important for you to hear that and for you to know, for us, it's just, there's this saying, you can't be what you can't see. And your career has really helped us be seen. So thank you. And while you may disagree, that certainly is a part of your legacy for May and I and for young Asian American lawyers. So notwithstanding all of that awkward fangirling of you, what do you hope your legacy will be for our audience today? Or put another way, what do you hope to be remembered for, Judge?
You're right. It's an awkward question, and I'm not dead yet. So I just hope that the people who have supported me, like today, for example, and in my position, the presidents and my home state senators, my community, the Dallas Bar Association, and May and Stacey, I hope that just someday you find that I was deserving of this recognition today, for which I'm very thankful, although very uncomfortable. And I think that's all I can say about it, other than thank you.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you so much, and we hope you appreciated and learned some pearls of wisdom today from our living legend, Judge Gren Scholer.
Thank you.